Welcome back. It's Ed Martin here in a Pro America Report. Don't forget, visit proamericareport.com. Get signed up for the daily email. If you do, you'll get in your email at 5 a.m. East Coast time, 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. East Coast time, just bam, right in your email. And you'll get what you need to know from me, as well as links to the most important and pressing and prescient articles and essays. And you'll get tomorrow, in tomorrow's American Greatness, there's a piece run by our friend Ted Malloch called Are These Really End Times? And Ted Malloch, of course, is a well-known writer and a businessman, a consultant, and lives, of course, over in London, but is American and comments on American politics, especially on American Greatness, the blog at amgreatness.com. Welcome back, Ted. How are you?
I'm very well. We had a terrorist attack, you might have heard, in
yes.
My neighborhood, frankly, 15 minutes from where I live, 20 minutes from where I live over the weekend. So a bit of a fright here.
How are things now there on the ground? I mean, what did they catch the guy? I didn't even see coverage of that.
They did catch the guy. I know they have a 25-year-old Libyan. They at first were reticent to say it was terrorism. It obviously was. Killed 3 people, all homosexual men, and stabbed 12 other individuals, some in critical condition, in a park in Reading, England. And the person, obviously he had been on the watch list for MI6. So they knew of his comings and goings.
Wow. Well, at least a good thing they caught him. Now, your piece that's running in American Greatness is, are these really the end times? And, when people hear things like that, a few minutes from their home, there's terrorist attacks and all these things. And tell us what your piece says and how it would inspire you to write.
Well, the list is long of things that are unprecedented, frightening, deadly virus, bloody riots, looting, filmed live, anarchic protests, environmental fascism. I mean, I would call it the spread of pure hatred, political discord. It seems to be, from where I'm sitting watching, now I'm watching mainstream television and I'm reading, mostly mainstream media sources. It looks like it's ripping apart American society, civilization itself. So I have to wonder, given the circles that I grew up in, are these end times? Are we at the end of the world? So that's what my piece is about. And I think a lot of people with a religious worldview, with a concern about our civilization, about the course of America, about the very nature of justice, about law and order, are maybe raising the same question. Now, some of them have read the book of Revelation, which is quite frightening, of course, the last book in the New Testament. They know about the 4 figures, of the apocalypse. They know about the 10 plagues. I don't really try to get into these deep theological questions about the finitude of life, mortality of the soul, life after death in heaven or hell. You can't even talk about those kinds of issues in modern day post-Christian era, right? So I'm actually trying to raise this large, mundane question of historicity, which is basically, why are we facing so many tribulations in this very year, AD 2020? Are they without precedent, or is there a more nefarious, perhaps even a sinister answer? So maybe I got your attention.
We're talking with Ted Malloch, and you could go to tedmalloch.com to see all of his writings. So tell me your answer. After all that, because you're right, I think a lot of people are feeling like as the old Yeats poem says, the center's not holding, that there's not something grounding us, and they feel that. So what do you think?
Well, I think it's a watershed year for America, obviously, because of the election and because of the turning tides, all these things coming together at once. What I basically say is, after 4 years of ceaseless Russian, Ukrainian hoaxes, unfounded impeachment, rumors of collusion, treason, cries of racism, sexism, xenophobia, the entire culture war against our almighty Trump, nothing has stuck. So perhaps blaming him for the apocalypse will be different. And they'd be willing to pin anything on him. Our president has taken more flack, I say in this piece, than the entire landing party on all the beaches of Normandy on D-Day combined.
Well, what's funny about it? I'm looking at Yeah, I'm looking at the polling. They make all these things you hear from people, and the fake news media are telling you, they're saying, "Hey, look at this, look at that." I'm looking at Rasmussen, the approval that they track, a tracking poll, and on this date in 2012. Obama's approval rating is 46 and Trump's is 47. In fact, I strike that, take it back. On this yesterday, 2 days ago, Friday, it was 47% for Trump approval. This Friday, 2 days ago, and on this date in June of 2012, Obama's was at 46. So in other words, Obama, who went on to win re-election, who was supposed to be so great, he was in the same spot. I mean, part of me says governing's hard work. Governing's not easy. Governing can be messy. But my goodness, you're doing your best in there. And this president has been beaten down. Did you get to watch the rally? I know it would have been late in the night or early in the morning for you.
I certainly watched episodes from it. So, I mean, it's great to see him back in action.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you were talking about the election here. If Trump is reelected, I mean, will not all hell break loose? And won't the left go absolutely wildly epileptic? I mean, will we have an armed insurrection is my question. Not just some kind of turmoil in some kind of free zone in downtown Seattle. I mean, I'm really serious about this question. Will we face a new civil war in America?
Well, and say it differently. I mean, honestly, I hate to say this. If he doesn't get the House and the Senate, and he's dealing with these the leftists the way they are, they're not getting better. Then you say to yourself, well, my goodness, it was we're just gonna be stuck with this for forever. Now, I want to slide over to something else. And we're talking again with Ted Malloch. Ted, you were I think you were on the faculty, as if I can recall. Maybe you were doing research at Yale. But have you noticed this cancel Yale, that the founder of Yale, or the namesake of Yale, was in fact a slave trader, and so Ann Coulter and some others have been saying, well, you have to change the name. Have you seen that one?
Well, I have, and he made most of his money on the cotton gin and other type of inventions, and then gifted that money to Yale to start the university, and as all these people do, using his last name. We might have to cancel. Well, Washington, D.C., at least the monument. Yeah. Right. You'd have to cancel, everything with Lincoln in it. They tore down a statue yesterday or the weekend of Ulysses S. Grant. Now, I was most disappointed, though, when somebody sent me this morning, Steve Bannon sent me a note saying that in New York City the board has decided to take down the statue of Theodore Roosevelt, my namesake, in front of the the Museum of Natural History.
Yeah, and of course. Yeah, no, they're recycling President Trump's comment from 2 years ago where he said, what are you going to do, take Washington and Jefferson next? And now they're on to, in California, they tore down the Saint Junipero Serra, the saint who built all the the reason it's San Francisco. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where it ends. Although, let me pause and ask you about this, all kidding aside. The effort to erase history, and you've written a number of books on history, as you point out, and even your namesake Teddy Roosevelt. The effort to erase history, that's page 1 of the Communist Playbook, right?
Oh yeah, no, it is that. It's been done before in Mao's China, and obviously at the period of the Russian Revolution. So, let's make no mistake. These are not just cultural Marxists, some kind of armchair liberals in universities. These are the real thing. The movements we're talking about, not only Black Lives Matter, but particularly the Antifa, are long-seated European history, radical groups of a communist orientation who want to rip down everything in society, from religion to our statues. So they're not going to rest until that's done. So we have to come back. We have to have a way to come back. At the end of my piece, I say the opening line of T.S. Eliot's famous poem in the early years after the First World War in the 20th century, The Wasteland. He says, "April is the cruelest month." Spring's eternal. Life supplants death each winter. We come out of winter. And here's a line that I end with that I think will upset a lot of people on the left. We are only at the end of the beginning. of the era of Trump.
That's a pretty good. That will make him crazy. All right, I got to leave it there. Ted Malloch, go to tedmalloch.com and see all of his work there, but also American Greatness, amgreatness.com. You can follow his writings. There's a new one up tomorrow, so we'll talk soon. Thanks, Ted. We'll take another quick break and be right back. It's Ed Martin here on the Pro America Report. Be right back.